So, one of the questions that I had written down, which blew my mind, you mentioned in a couple of your videos that someone had said that you were the most negative person that she knew,
Yeah.
and it made you start to kind of reassess and start looking into energy, and it sounded like a springboard to this personal development. If you watch your content, you're like, there's no way. Like, how is this person the most negative person in anyone's social circle? So, what was the biggest change in mindset and habits from that person to the person that you are now?
Well, I think as first as a man, the girl tells you the girl that you went on a date with and slept with and literally just tells you like you are too negative to hang out. It's devastating, right? And I remember that the same period of time, I looked in the mirror and then like, okay, do, can I be do I want to be 30 years old and 40 years in with who I am right now? And that was just too hard for me to not to decide not to change.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, if I that was like 23 years old or something, and right now I'm 30 years old, and 7 years ago, right? And if I become 30 years old with exactly who I am, broke, just nothing, negative, stressed, I don't think I can live like this. So that was painful enough for me to stand up for myself and then actually start doing something. I started with meditation practices. My mentor back in the days, he was a model. He was teaching modeling, models to walk and pose and like mentality and just stuff like that. And he just brought meditation into the class, and that was the first introduction to the meditation.
That's actually really surprising. So, what was his reason for bringing meditation into modeling, into like the modeling classes?
I think he also like went through a lot of people go through because he's now 49 or 50, if I'm right. So, he was quite a star in the back in the days, and he came to a point like a Zen and mindfulness and understanding that the power of the present moment. So I think he wanted to bring that into not just posing and shining and object and materialistic, but also like, hey, this is also representing who you are and understanding who you are. So I think that was his intention.
Mm. It's really interesting when you see someone like yourself, it makes me think, like, do you feel like you have to challenge the idea that you can only be like beautiful or good looking or intelligent? Like, you can't have both at the same time. Do you feel like there's like a stigma that you have to work against being like a model and obviously being very attractive and then also presenting like zen wisdom and like your I did one of your meditations this morning and it was fantastic,
Thank you.
right? But so many people want to kind of like put you in a bucket because it's just easier for their cognitive load. It's not necessarily out of malice. So do you feel like that's something that you have to work against, or do you feel like that's slowly going away?
I think it's slowly going away. When I was a model, the all I care was to be validated, right?
Hmm.
Because well, it looks like I think in a deeper level it's not, but it looks like we are judged and validated based on a superficial level. That's how you get the job and to work and stuff like that. But so I think, including me back then, and a lot of models are relying on that idea of being wanted because you are beautiful on the surface.
Hmm.
But yeah, the truth that lies underneath is the fact that it's who you are. It's like if you are very charismatic and if you are very positive, people will appreciate it because at the end of the day, casting is based on people, designers are people, and everyone else is people. So we all have the preference and we all appreciate the positivity. So
How do you get to a place where you don't identify with like your current body, your current looks, your current youth? I feel like that's a really hard thing for especially for women, but I think for anybody, especially if they're facing the camera, it's like you see this version of yourself and then over as time goes on, obviously we all age, different levels of grace, right? Depending on
Yeah.
genetics and so many other things. But how do you look at maybe like an extra, well, you don't have to worry about this right now, but like an extra wrinkle or an extra dimple or whatever that thing is, and then look at it with love and appreciation and saying, like, this is like, I am not my body, right? Like, I'm having this experience, but you have spent so much of your time in your life, I kind of front facing with that. So, how do you uncouple that?
Oh, that was a good question. When you look at a lot of successful people in twenties, you feel like, oh, like I wasted my twenties, and I didn't really invest any time, or I didn't really learn much in my early twenties. So if I look back like that, then I'll go, oh, like I wish I could have done this, and I wish could have done that, and that kind of like reinforces the negative idea about the part of my life. But if you look at that early 20s, that, hey, without that, I wouldn't be who I am now today, which I am very proud of myself right now, then everything was perfect. I think just because you didn't really learn from your own perspective at this point, that doesn't mean that was not necessary. So from that perspective, that I try to appreciate whatever happens in a small scale. We cannot understand, right? Like, for example, like it's crazy the last a few weeks for me, or a couple months to be honest, that I am not the type of person that who be late on things and the events and meeting and stuff like that. But I was always late, and then just like something is not right, and it's so stressful for me that nothing is working. But that thing, that the event and what's happening is as perfect as your whole life can be. So like I think the wrinkles and how I look and all the life event that happened or happening currently, not to put on so much fear and insecurity, I rather to just force myself to navigate, let's appreciate. And I think it comes down to the practice of like, can you can you direct yourself into, because you have we all have the possibility to just do, oh fuck, that was shit, sorry to curse, but
Oh, no, you're
oh, that
fine.
was like that was horrible, that was I wasted my time. But if you can shift your perspective and like, I really appreciate the fact that I had to go through this, and I really appreciate that I wasted my time so that now I don't do the same thing, then I believe that we all can appreciate the wrinkle or two, or 10 wrinkles, or the white hairs, and all the change in every level in life.
Yeah, for me, I think like true happiness and self-worth comes from accepting all of it. And it doesn't mean that it's like it's the absence of sadness or the absence of anger, the absence of whatever you're going through, like that we can only exist within that polarity. Like it has to be nothing but pure joy and love. Otherwise, I can't have gratitude for the moment. But it's like being devastated and then being so in love with that moment of humanity and like, yes, that pain is real, but like how fucking incredible that I can feel this,
Yeah,
how incredible that I'm in this human experience. And it can be really hard when you're in it. But I think it's, for me, it's just reps. It's every time you can catch yourself, like maybe like a limited mindset or a victimhood mindset or woe is me or whatever it is. And like you can catch that and then you choose to go up instead of going down. And it's every single time you do a rep in the direction that you want to go, the more of a
yeah,
reflex it becomes. And then the more that kind of alchemizes into who you are.
absolutely. Yeah, I love the way that you describe.
So, when it comes to wasting your 20s, because that was a massively popular video that you had posted, which is like, I wasted my 20s. I didn't get to watch it yet, but do you feel like that there is almost it's a requirement to be able to experience like the hedonistic tendencies and like the frivolness, is that a word? like being frivolous in your 20s, kind of like caution to the wind and just like purely exploring and just like self discovery. It's like all of those actions that might seem like they don't have a purpose, whether it was you were partying too much, or you were sleeping around too much, or you weren't focused enough. But all of those things kind of ping you closer to the path that you're supposed to be on. And it's like through those experiences you're defined, instead of saying you need to right away know who you are, know your path, know your mission, be incredibly disciplined. I feel like discipline comes with the exposure to temptation and feeling like your own threshold for everything, because everyone has a different calibration.
Yeah.
Does that make
Like I
sense?
think, yeah, it's exactly what you said, right? Because I wasted my 20s, and then there's a reason that I titled that video, even though the actual video I talk about like the things that I wish I knew, and then you should do that. So if you're in 20s or, any age that you are, it's not too late to start.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why I titled I wasted my 20s, because I wasted it in a certain degree. That's why I can make now a decision that to not to waste my 30s or 40s or 50s because of my own failure and experience. I actually made a video which probably will be dropped in sometime soon, already did on YouTube, which talks about the full philosophy from Zen, which a lot of people probably don't know. It's called Shiseku. And one of them talks about that the Zen cannot be taught through language. It's not something that you should learn from people by your masters telling you. You have to experience by yourself, and the wisdom that comes from within. So I think my countless of failure and mistakes, and the fact that I was dumb, this stupid dumbass, that taught me so much that any online content or any coaches cannot teach, because that is coming from me, and that's a true value, I believe.